Water on the iPhone, that's not a good sign. Okay. Well, I'm really happy to read with these guys, and thank you all for coming out, and to the university for having me, us, and I'll start with this poem called November 11th. It's got a lot of exclamation points in it, which you'll hear. November 11th, 2004. Is there a way to lower the house lights and not lower the light up here? Is there? Where'd that tech guy go? Mr. Soundman? Could be Mr. Lightman too? All right, I just thought maybe it might be a little, you know. Never done that? Okay, all right. We'll deal. November 11th, 2004. Oh, everyone's dead and the rain today is marvelous. I drive to the gym, the streets are slick, everyone's using their wipers, people are walking with their shoulders hunched, wearing hoods or holding up umbrellas. Of course, it's all to be expected. Fantastic. My mother's friend Annie, her funeral's today. The writer Iris Chang, she just shot herself. And Arafat, he's dead too. The doctors refuse to say what killed him. His wife is fighting with the Palestinians over his millions. The parking lot of the gym is filled with muddy puddles. I run 4.3 miles per hour on the treadmill, and they're dead in Baghdad and Fallujah, Mosul and Samarra and Latakia. Nadia and Soraya, Nala and Hoda and Noor, their husbands and cousins and brothers, dead in their own neighborhoods. Imagine. Marine Staff Sergeant David G. Reese, 29, Clark, Washington, killed. Army Specialist Kwok Bin Tran, 26, Mission Viejo, California, killed. Army Specialist Brian L. Freeman, 31, Lumberton, New Jersey, same deal. Marine Lance Corporal Jeffrey Lauren, 22, New York. You guessed it. Oh, I could go on and on for as long as I live. In Africa, too, they've been starved and macheted. The morning paper said the Serbs apologized for Srebrenica. 7,800 Muslims murdered in 1995. I know it's old news, but hey, they're still dead. I almost forgot my neighbor's niece. 16 and puking in Kaiser emergency. The cause a big mystery until the autopsy. Toxic shock syndrome of all things. I thought that was history too, but I guess girls are still dying. Who knew? I run for 2 miles. My knees hurt and my shins. I step off and stretch for a bit. I go back outside into the rain. It feels chilly and good. It goes on all day, unending and glorious, falling and filling the roof gutters, flooding the low-lying roads. For you. For you, I undress down to the sheaths of my nerves. I remove my jewelry and set it on the nightstand. I unhook my ribs, spread my lungs flat on a chair. I dissolve like a remedy in water, in wine. I spill without staining and leave without stirring the air. I do it for love. For love, I disappear. And speaking of allusive poems, there's a whole lot of allusions in this one. So, creative writing majors, pay attention. See how many you can find. Sort of like Where's Waldo for poets. This is called The First Line is the Deepest. I have been one acquainted with the spatula, the slotted, scuffed, Teflon-coated spatula that lifts a solitary hamburger from pan to plate, acquainted with the vibrator known as the pocket rocket, and the dildo that goes by Tex. And I have gone out a drunken bitch in order to ruin what love I was given. And also I have measured out my life in little pills: Zoloft, Restoril, Celexa, Xanax. For I'm a poet. It is my job, my duty, to know wherein lies the beauty of this degraded body. Or maybe it's the degradation in the beautiful body, the ugly me groping back to my desk to piss on perfection, to lay my kiss of mortal confusion upon the mouth of infinite wisdom. My kiss says razors and pain. My kiss says America is charged with the madness of God. Sundays, too, the soldiers get up early and put on their fatigues in the blue-black day. Black milk, black gold, Texas tea. Into the valley of Halliburton rides the infantry. Why does 1 month have to be the cruelest? Can't they all be equally cruel? I have seen the best gamers of your generation joy-sticking their M1 tanks through the sewage-filled streets. Whose world this is, I think I know. So that's, I don't know if I can remember them all. Cat Stevens, Robert Frost, and Sexton, Eliot, who am I missing? Philip Larkin, Robert Hayden, thank you, Razors and Pain, Dorothy Parker, Hopkins, Paul Celan, Beverly Hillbillies, throw the pop culture in there, Tennyson, Eliot again, Ginsberg, and Frost. There you go. How many did you get? Show hands. More than 5 is like really, you're gonna be a great poet. Okay, so I thought I would read some couple of new poems because I'm really proud of this book, but I'm a little tired of reading from it, so I'm gonna give you some new ones here. This is this title right now is probably going to change, but right now it's called Postmodern Love, Internet Dating. And I think the only thing you really need to know is that a nematode is a parasitic roundworm. I'm tired of kissing nematodes, splitting the check with scorpions, listening to the spiritual autobiographies of slugs over an infinitely repeated series of banal gestural codes. I'm thinking of dating trees next. We could just stand around all night together. We could stand each other. I'd murmur, they'd rustle. The wind would do its wind thing without speaking. I hate speech. Shut up, shut up, shut up, I thought, as he flicked his tongue at the Peruvian tapas, but the spell didn't work. Get out of my inbox, I feel violated, not in a good way. There's no one I want to inhale into my alveoli like I did with you. There, I just made you into a cigarette. If only I could press your burning head into the arrow wound and twist you slowly to cauterize it. Instead, I want another you and then another. You in the morning before coffee, postprandial you. You, especially when I'm drinking. But back to dating, I don't think I can. If I read your profile online, I'd never write you. But I miss all the sides of your face. I miss the trees of your eyes. I miss never licking the scar on your hand. Last night I dreamed you came over and stayed. If only I could buy a little property in that dream and not wake up sick and freezing, endlessly hitting the return key. And this is one, I'm really fond of rhymed couplets, so this is another one of those. I did a reading at a tattoo museum, or a museum that was having a tattoo show in LA, and they the deal to get our check was that we had to write a poem based on some of the tattoo art. So I looked at all the flash on the walls, and I wrote this poem. Spell against impermanence. Fairies, griffins, wrens, blue roses, cartoon girls in impish poses, Isis, Sanskrit text, Chinese, snake eyes, marijuana leaves, skulls, knives, hellhounds, scorpions, tigers, harpies, gangrened demons, lover leave and child abort, brother's liver dredge in dirt, steep in piss and shit and pain, father's corpse and mother's brain. Fire feed and ash inhale, heart lashed to the breaking wheel. Lightning, lotus, chameleon, slide the needle deeper in. And Robert mentioned Parkinson's, and my mother had Parkinson's for the last 10 years of her life. And yeah, I mean, me, drug overdose, okay? I'm telling all the younger poets in the audience, just so you know, when I'm at that stage fucked up, please come and visit me, make a pilgrimage, and bring me morphine. Not kidding. Okay, so this is called sleep stage. In the dream, my mother could again get out of bed, but only to stand before a black mirror. So really, not a good dream after all. And not prescient, since the next day, there she still was, bed cranked up, no teeth, so an odd caving in where her lips used to be. Into the cave, I spooned some green mush, but then skipped that and the squash to give her all the pudding, sneaking to the bathroom to dump the remains so the nurse wouldn't know. Dreams, what are they anyway? Collage art, trash bins, intergalactic interfaces, maybe random missile fire from oppressed realities. The blockade creates a black market. Tunnels are dug to smuggle in goats and weapons. Dead father at a party, ex-lover saving the plane from crashing into the frozen river. Lions everywhere, except inside the circle I drew around myself with a stick in the dirt. I got into bed with her. Soon she'll be scattered, probably over a tennis court somewhere, which sounds like a dream, but won't be. Which was the great thing, is that when my mom died, we buried her ashes next to my father, and but I kept some of them, which are now in a Ziploc in my kitchen, and so I have a little shrine. And then we scattered some over the center court at the club where she used to teach tennis. So like some of her ashes were ground into the hard true, which I thought was kind of great. This one's called Creased Map of the Underworld. Nothing is so beautiful as death, thinks death. Stilled lark on the lawn, its twiggy legs drawn up, squashed blossoms of skunks and opossums on the freeway, dog that drags itself trembling down the front steps and stops in a black-gummed grimace before toppling into the poppies. The ugly poppies. In Afghanistan, they are again made beautiful by a mysterious blight. Ugly are the arriving American soldiers, newly shorn and checking their email, but beautiful when face up in the road, or their parts scattered like bullet or sprinkler spray or stellar remains. Lovely is the nearly expired star casting its mass into outer space. Lovely are the supernova, tearing itself apart or collapsing like Lana Turner in Frank O'Hara's poem. Nothing is so beautiful as a poem, except maybe a nightingale, thinks the poet writing about death, sinking leafwards. Lovely river in which the names are carefully entered. In this quadrant are the rivers of grief and fire. Grid north, black azimuth. Down rivers of fuck yous and orchids steer lit hearts in little boats, gamely making their way, spinning and flaming and spiraling, always down, down the most beautiful of the directions. So I think we've probably all got the blues by now, for various reasons, from all this great poetry we've heard earlier. And so I'm gonna do just a couple things. I have been playing blues harmonica fairly seriously for 7 to 10 years now, and so I always try to incorporate a little music into my readings and sort of talk about the blues, because I love the blues and I love the harmonica, and I feel like I get to be sort of an ambassador for both to poetry audiences. So I'm going to do two things, and the first one is a little blues I wrote for the great Robert Johnson. So I think this is this, where's the sound man? Mr. Soundman, okay. Mr. Soundman. Okay, I'm not gonna sing though, don't worry. And so this is called Blues for Robert Johnson. Give me a pint of whiskey with a broken seal. Give me one more hour with a broken feel. I can't sleep again, and a black dog's on my trail. You're singing Hellhound, Crossroads, Love in Vain. You're singing and the black sky is playing rain. You're stomping your feet. You're shaking the window pane. I put my palm to the glass to get the cold. I drink the memories that scald. Drink to the loves that failed and failed. Look down into the river, I can see you there, looking down into the blue light of a woman's hair, saying to her, baby, dark gone, catch me here. You're buried in Mississippi under a stone. You're buried and still singing under the ground. And the blues fell mama's child. Tore me all upside, tore me all upside, tore me all upside down. Try this one for the second one. So this, I want to read a poem first. I was doing a train song for a long time, and suddenly I realized that it would be a good idea to write a train poem, so I would actually have more of an excuse to sort of suddenly break out my harmonica at a poetry reading. So I ended up writing some train songs, and this is one of them, and it's in the form of a blues, and it's called Northeast Corridor Blues, which is the blues or rather the Amtrak train that goes down the East Coast. So I'll read the poem first, then I'm going to say something about the train song I'm going to play. So Northeast Corridor Blues. Lost my ticket when I got on the train. Conductor said, sorry, you got to pay again. If he was a rock, I'd be a speck of sand. Passing yards of junk cars, their hoods popped open. Water towers, trailer parks, local taverns. Gone as soon as you look at them. Traveling down to D.C. to bury my mother, put her ashes next to the bones of my father, tell the priest he won't have to bother. Everyone's a stone, but I'm a speck of sand. No matter what I do, I've got to pay again. Lost my ticket when I got on the train. And so the train song I'm going to do is my version of a couple of D. Ford Bailey songs. Every harmonica player has a train song, and so a lot of these early country blues harmonica players, of which D. Ford Bailey was one. He was actually the first African-American star of the Grand Ole Opry, even before it was the Grand Ole Opry. He was incredibly popular there. And he was also one of those early blues guys that sort of got shafted. Because what happened is when the music business started to come into the Grand Ole Opry, and they decided that certain songs should be played, and that you had to sort of pay to play some of these old songs that D. Ford knew and like was used to entertaining the audience with. And so he wasn't able to play all those great songs anymore. He ended up shining shoes for a long time until he was sort of rediscovered again in the blues revival that came around later after the, you know, the white 60s rock bands picked up on all this great early blues music and kind of rediscovered a lot of those guys. So this is kind of my version of a couple of his train songs. All aboard. So D. Ford Bailey, check him out. And I thought since this was National Poetry Month, I wanted to end with a train poem by Ruth Stone, an older woman poet who died about, I don't know, I think she died sometime last year, maybe a little before. Anyway, this is a poem of Ruth Stone's called Train Ride. All things come to an end. Small cabs in Arkansas, the bend of the muddy river. Do all things come to an end? No, they go on forever. They go on forever. The swamp, the vine-choked cypress, the oaks rattling last year's leaves, the thump of the rails, the kite, the still white, stilted heron. All things come to an end. The red clay bank, the spread hawk, the bodies riding this train, the stalled truck, pale sunlight, the talk. The talk goes on forever. The wide, dry field of geese. A man stopped near his porch to watch. Release, release. Between cold death and a fever, send what you will, I will listen. All things come to an end. No, they go on forever.